friend is coming soon. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator.
Just a quick announcement. The YouTube boycott is still on. However, there has been a slight increase in advertisers returning. Our revenue has gone down as low as 80%. We now see a 10% increase in the last 2 weeks. Still far from normal, but very encouraging. Because of your generous donations, we're still here. Thank you so much for the donations. Now, for those of you who would still like to make a donation, our link is below in the description. Victory of the Light. Now here is your scheduled video.
Antarctica, a tropical paradise well known to our long-forgotten ancestors with advanced capabilities. Evidence of our advanced forefathers is everywhere, but it is scattered and doesn't form an ensemble picture. To learn more about them, we must first have a look at the southernmost continent of Antarctica. There is mounting evidence of civilizations with advanced capabilities that could travel the entire globe in the distant past. As history is being decoded, we discover that our primitive forefathers had the luxury to set sail all across the globe, enjoy freedom in its own right, and above all, their deeds outscored much of what we've achieved using modern-day techniques. These long-forgotten peoples not only possessed advanced knowledge and technology, but they also lived in a world different than that pictured by history today. With the ice sheet of Antarctica getting thinner by the year, a number of peculiar formations have made it out to light. Sheer mountains with perfect symmetry that strongly resemble pyramids have shook off the dense layer of snow and are now hinting at a distant Antarctic past where long-forgotten peoples roamed all over this now desolate region, and allegedly had free access to travel the entire planet, from one pole to the other. But this presumed archaic world relied on a different set of tools and understanding of its surroundings, as you are about to see in the following lines. First off, let's build a better understanding of the southernmost continent. A colossal ice sheet spanning over 14 million square kilometers covers 98% of its surface. To get a better picture, if you take Antarctica and place it on the map over North America, it will stretch all the way from the southernmost tip of Texas to the northernmost islands of Canada. The massive layer of ice is estimated to be around 2.8 miles thick in some areas, while the average temperatures of -55°C are preserving this place, while also keeping most of the living beings out. With Antarctica being the world's only completely uninhabited continent, it feels like there is nothing to see there other than the howling wind that's picking at your body and face, and a few penguins to warm your heart. But, is it really as desolate there as they would want us to believe? Or is there more to it than meets the eye? It is worth mentioning that the Antarctic was only discovered in 1911, when the Norwegians finally reached the South Pole after a battering race with the Brits. Beforehand, Captain James Cook and his crew had managed to reach the outskirts of this mysterious continent in 1773, when they discovered its nearby islands, but never made it to the actual landmass. It is now accepted that the South Pole had barely been reached at the beginning of the 20th century, and it was named Antarctica due to the previous discovery of the North Pole with its Arctic region. Lack of imagination? After the Europeans reached this ancient and frozen land, various expeditions were sent to scout the area for resources. It is no hidden fact that the Nazis had a keen interest in the frozen desert, also the Americans under the guidance of Admiral Byrd, and many other groups and organizations throughout the years and until today. I'm not going to go into details about the secret bases that presumably still hide out there, but I'll point out some other intriguing aspects. After thoroughly analyzing the Antarctic surface, researchers have concluded that this desolate continent was once a tropical paradise. It included everything from sunny beaches, warm waters, to a lush environment that covered all the valleys and mountains. In the distant past, Antarctica was the perfect place to be around if you were an organic being dependent on warmth and other stimuli. However, modern-day science once again spoils the fun by asserting that such a period occurred tens of millions of years ago, and probably only furry mammals and other wildlife got the chance to make it out in this tropical paradise. For us humans, it remains what it is today, a frozen wasteland filled on the margins with penguins and other marine life. Now, here is where things become really interesting. Not long ago, historians discovered two antique maps that reveal the Antarctic region while ice-free. One of the maps, that of Piri Reis, who was a renowned Turkish admiral from the 16th century, shows a portion of Antarctica known today as Queen Maul's Land completely ice-free. The other map, Orontius Phoenix, reveals the entire continent without ice. But how is that even possible if Antarctica was merely discovered a century ago? And more importantly, why is there no ice about? To clear this out, let's have a look at the first document. The map of Piri Reis was discovered in 1929, it was drawn on the skin of a gazelle, and analysis revealed that it is a genuine document drawn by Piri Reis' subordinates in 1513. The admiral was an esteemed navy officer that enjoyed the privilege of having access to great places of knowledge. Because of his Turkish origins, the place with most resources was the Imperial Library of Constantinople. In his sailor's logbook is mentioned that the map was compiled from numerous other source maps, some of them from as early as the 4th century BC, or even earlier. While some charts were drawn by sailors contemporary to the admiral, others were collected from the Royal Library of Alexandria, the most important library of ancient times. Apparently, after its destruction, copies of documents together with some original source charts were taken to other important cultural centers, among them being Constantinople. The knowledge remained locked away until 1204, the year of the Fourth Crusade. When the Venetians besieged Constantinople, an abundance of tomes and maps were snatched from the Imperial Turkish Library and fell into the hands of European sailors. Although most of the maps were of the Mediterranean and Black Sea, there were others of the Americas, of the Arctic and the Antarctic Oceans. So, how can this be possible if the Antarctic landmass was only discovered in the 20th century? Dr. Charles Hapgood, in his book Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, offers relevant insight about theses paradigm contradicting facts. It appears that accurate information has been passed down from people to people. It appears that the charts must have originated with a people unknown and they were passed on, perhaps by the Minoans and the Phoenicians, who were, for 1,000 years and more, the greatest sailors of the ancient world. We have evidence that they were collected and studied in the Great Library of Alexandria and the compilations of them were made by the geographers who worked there. It becomes clear that the ancient voyagers traveled from pole to pole. Unbelievable as it may appear, the evidence nevertheless indicates that some ancient people explored Antarctic when its coasts were free of ice. It is clear too, that they had an instrument of navigation for accurately determining the longitudes that was far superior to anything possessed by the peoples of ancient, medieval or modern times until the second half of the 18th century. While the official science implies that the ice shelf that stretches over Antarctica is millions of years old, the Piri Reis map completely debunks this hypothesis, since the northern part of the continent had been mapped before there was any ice covering it. This means two things: either human beings with advanced charting capabilities existed millions years ago, which comes out of the question according to our currently accepted paradigm, either the map had been drawn thousands, if not tens of thousands of years ago, when humans still used advanced mapping techniques. Taking into account the second hypothesis, it also contradicts with what modern-day science has to say about the first known civilization, the Sumerians. From what it is known, they appeared briskly in an area from the Mid-East some 6,000 years ago, but possessed no nautical or maritime skills. Interesting enough, they do speak of the ancient people who they treated as gods due to their unusual capabilities, and are referred to as the Anunnaki. If we look at more recent studies of the Antarctic, we can see that the last ice-free period in the area is estimated to have ended approximately 6,000 years ago, meaning that some ancient sailors must have mapped the region beforehand. With this in mind, it appears that as far back as 4000 BC, possibly even earlier, complex maps of the world existed. These documents were later gathered for safekeeping inside the Library of Alexandria, indicating also that ancient Egyptian scholars were studying these time-worn heritages. With the destruction of this renowned cultural center, only a handful of tomes escaped the city, and the knowledge is now scattered and scarce. Fortunately, pieces of the puzzle are coming back together once more. Stay tuned for the second part of the article that will shed even more light to the Antarctic riddle. Hint: Admiral Lee Byrd has a say in what's to come, and a wreckage from World War II will show how scientists are concealing palpable evidence.
Please like us and share with your social media.
Please subscribe and click the bell to be notified of our new videos.
Remember to check out our playlist for important intel you may have missed.
Be sure to enter our subscriber appreciation $100 monthly giveaway. The link is in our description.
And visit our sister channel. Event is coming soon. For additional intel and information, stay tuned. Victory of the Light.